Hello and good evening. You are watching Newsplus right here on ZTN Prime. My name is Faith Nyaude. Thank you so much for joining us. We give you stories to look forward to in tonight's bulletin. At least 17 people have been confirmed following a devastating accident this morning involving a 30-ton haulage truck and a Chitungwiza-bound commuter omnibus along Seke Road. Our news crew visited the scene of the accident at Unyani Bridge and spoke to some witnesses who shared details of the crash. The United Nations at 80. Stay tuned for President Mnangagwa's call on the need to reform the global body, whose structure, he said, still fails to reflect the current global reality. And Zimbabwe farmers are turning to Parliament after some land losses. Zimbabwe's national rugby team, the Sables, are back and received a hero's welcome at the Robert Mugabe International Airport this evening after a historic World Cup qualification at the Rugby Africa Cup that was held in Uganda last week. In our top story this evening, we started off with President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who gave a firm call for reform as the United Nations commemorated 80 years since the beginning, or signing rather, of its founding charter. He said while the organization has played a historic role in peace building and decolonization, its structure still fails to reflect the current global reality, particularly in how Africa remains shut out of key decision-making bodies at the Security Council.
The continued exclusion of Africa as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council has become an unjustifiable travesty of justice and out of step with contemporary realities. Zimbabwe firmly joins other jurisdictions in calling for the reform of the Security Council. Collective ownership of global decisions is now an urgent imperative.
The president also warned against rising neo-colonial trends and global inaction on issues affecting the global south, including conflict, climate change, and economic inequality. He said these must be confronted boldly if the UN is to remain relevant.
Similarly, war, conflict, and neo-colonial tendencies, as well as other unique socio-economic and environmental challenges that face Africa and the global south, must be boldly addressed by this august organization with robustness and certainty. The emerging global crisis, multidimensional threats such as climate change, pandemics, trade rivalry, and geopolitical tensions should be resolved peacefully through dialogue, cooperation, and collaboration. The United Nations decision-making system and its capacity to urgently respond to pertinent global agendas is to be re-energized towards the realization of our SDGs.
Now, in other news, Zimbabwe and UNESCO are seeking to enhance partnership in areas like artificial intelligence as well as cultural heritage. This was revealed during a courtesy visit by UNESCO's Director General Audrey Azoulay to President Emmerson Mnangagwa at State House in Harare this afternoon. This marked her inaugural official visit to Zimbabwe in her capacity as the Director General of UNESCO. Now, UNESCO maintains a robust and diverse relationship with Zimbabwe, emphasizing several domains including education, science, culture, and the preservation of heritage. Also under the scope of cooperation between UNESCO and Zimbabwe is the natural heritage and wetlands. Azoulay is scheduled to attend the COP15 Wetland Conference of Parties that is being held in Victoria Falls. UNESCO functions as the scientific agency of the United Nations and is collaborating intensively with the government of Zimbabwe to develop a thorough artificial intelligence framework.
We discussed many issues of our rich cooperation, especially on the protection of cultural and natural heritage. I thanked the President for having allowed me to go this morning to the great Zimbabwe monuments, which is inscribed on UNESCO World Heritage List as a recognition of a major African medieval empire, and as seen as such by the international community, and heritage Zimbabwe should be very proud and is very proud of, rightfully.
Now, still in our look at our main news this evening, the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Jennifer Muswere, said government has approved the National Drug and Substance Abuse Control and Enforcement Agency Bill with the purpose of establishing a specialized with enforced laws related to drug trafficking and substance abuse. Minister Muswere said that the initiative responds to the growing concern of widespread drug peddling fueled by organized networks with sophisticated international distribution systems and the alarming rise in drug and substance abuse.
The agency will comprise two key divisions: the Social Services Intervention Division, mainly responsible for coordinating access to support services such as vocational training and rehabilitation programs, and the Enforcement Division, responsible for implementing enforcement strategies, leading drug enforcement operations, and overseeing compliance with drug laws and regulations. Furthermore, the Bill updates the definition of dangerous drugs to encompass a broader range of harmful substances, ensuring a more comprehensive approach to addressing the menace.
Still with the post-cabinet media briefing, the Zimbabwe Electricity Transmission and Distribution Company, ZETDC, is targeting 47,000 transformers with the installation of 108 monitoring sites having been successfully completed as part of implementing measures to combat vandalism. Minister of Energy July Moyo said the measures are aimed at countering vandalism of electricity infrastructure. Through PowerTel, ZETDC is also implementing transformer anti-intrusion systems, where transformers are installed with cameras, alarms and sensors that allow real-time monitoring of transformers.
At present, we are experiencing load shedding because of climate change and as well as old infrastructure, both in Wange and climate change in Kariba. And the government, through its energy compact that has been canvassed, we are targeting to spend over 9 billion, and this 9 billion is targeted to come from the private sector, with the public sector contributing a smaller portion of it. And this is already happening. At present, the private sector is leading in solar energy, and this private sector is both internal and as well as external.
Now, as we still talk about matters to do with energy, the world is transitioning from fossil fuels to diverse, reliable sources of energy. Investment and enforcing relevant policies remains very critical in realizing this goal. Addressing delegates during today's dialogue on global climate resilience, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres emphasized the essence of implementing ideal policies to accelerate this goal.
Electricity remains a challenge to a significant portion of the population, especially in rural and underserved areas. Statistics illustrate that 44% of Zimbabwean population has access to electricity, with the rural folk constituting of only 19%. The country recently launched the Zimbabwe Renewable Energy Fund, ZIMREF, a vehicle aimed at raising $100 million to be invested in renewable energy. United Nations commended the country for facilitating such crucial frameworks.
Zimbabwe has been proactive in its climate initiative, launching crucial frameworks such as the investment framework for the long-term low-emission development strategy, and also enhancing its nationally determined contributions, NDCs. These initiatives highlight the importance of securing climate finance to facilitate the transition to greener economies.
The sustainable energy transition seeks to transform the global energy system to combat climate change while fostering sustainable development. Zimbabwe is determined to end the existing energy poverty and enhance infrastructure development. A national energy policy that is still under validation will be key in guiding the country to establish an enabling environment for development, management, and utilization of diverse energy sources.
The draft national energy policy document undergoing validation, which is also meant to be the country's key guideline between now and 2030, is very clear that our nationally determined thrust should and shall always be around the enhancement of energy security at country level, if not regionally.
United Nations emphasizes the importance of a just energy transition that promotes social inclusion. Scaling up renewable energy sources such as solar are crucial for cutting emissions and energy access expansion.
We are gathered today to discuss an issue of importance to each and every one of us. And in the course of our conversation, we will deepen our understanding of the links between climate change and development, charting a path for a cohesive action in renewable energy and green economy.
While adopting cleaner energy sources is a priority, currently the country is lagging behind with the focus still on ensuring energy access to all. However, commitments have been made to accelerate and enhance efficiency. For ZTM Prime, I am Satashi Siwekwaza in Harare.
Now, tragedy struck along Chitunguza Road this morning. When Newsplus comes back, we give you witness accounts and more details on this horrific accident.
Good evening and welcome to the greatest show on earth. This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Man, prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul. Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Man, prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Wow, this is beautiful.
Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear.
so fast.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play.
The one story where you can't get out of your head. So Erika, like where you're sitting. No better face so personal moon.
Music Afro no music Zimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti chindevere kana mumwe mutaure muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe ndiwo rupawo rwako ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, tragedy struck along Chitunguza Road this morning. 17 people have been confirmed dead following an accident involving a commuter omnibus and a haulage truck. Out of the 17 dead, 15 were in the minibus, while 2 were pedestrians. In the following report, Mukovechigada was at the scene earlier, gives us the picture.
Hundreds gathered at the scene, shocked and grief-stricken by the loss of life. The community is mourning. Real damage was done when this truck fell on this minibus. Eyewitnesses say they could hear the cry for help.
Driver drive shaft. No varabudem road chena chende opposite way. No varande go to me combi.
Rescue teams worked tirelessly to free those trapped, but for many, the lifting of the haulage truck was too late.
Almost 17
The minibus, packed with commuters, was no match for the truck weight. Police and paramedics worked to secure the scene and provide aid to those injured.
Container paranga richisumudzwa chinhu chacho changa chisumudzwa changa chisina power rekusumudza container chachiti chikasumudza choregedza chasvike certain stage mudenga kudai chobva chadzi container rodzokera futi pasi roenda futi ronokupanya futi zve vanhu vaya varotsvaga help.
It was at this scene that 17 souls waved goodbye. No one could have predicted that around 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, this accident would occur. Now this community will have to live with the reality. Police have since confirmed the deaths at the spot. They say they are investigating the cause of the accident. But what really transpired here? Eyewitnesses say the haulage truck encroached onto the other track in what was a freak moment after the driver lost control and in the process ended up with its loaded trailer on the minibus. 2 victims were on foot and the others in the minibus.
Saka ndikuti kana chova mugwagwa mama dzangu ndatifambe zvakadai zvakanaka uye ndatibude mudzimba tanamata Mwari tanamata tinamatira rwendo ratose marwendo atenge tichenda marwendo atenge tichenda kunofamba.
As the community comes to terms with this tragedy, there's a deep sense of shock and sadness that lingers. 17 lives lost is a stark reminder of how fragile life can be. Our thoughts are with the families of the victims And as they grieve and try to find a sense in this senseless tragedy, may they find the strength to be able to withstand this unimaginable loss. For CTN Prime, I'm Govechkada in Tunisia.
A tragic incident it is. Now, Chairperson of ZUDEC, Frederick Maguraminga, joins us live as we get his reaction and thoughts on this horror crash. Frederick, it's a very, I wouldn't say a very good evening, but good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Another tragic accident, more lives lost. Quite tragic, isn't it?
As an organization and as a person, as a sector, we are in tears and we are in shock. It's so devastating. Road carnage has claimed. As of now, to be honest, we are so devastated, and we have been discussing it as associations, and I could see the faces of other association leaders. It was not well with us. It's not well with us. We feel for everyone and for the families and for those deceased. You don't plan for this. You don't plan for an accident. You would be saying, I'm going to town for work, and this happens. And definitely we are totally speechless. However, what rings into our mind is that what can we do to avoid this not to happen? What is it that we have to do? We have met several times. We have discussed. What is it that we have to do to make sure that this does not happen again? How can we tame the traffic jungle? How can we bring discipline to all drivers, regardless is a truck driver, regardless is a combi driver, bus driver, taxi driver, and a private vehicle driver? This is what is ringing into our minds. We are actually talking to drivers. Are you learning lessons after all these disasters? Yes, we know someone cannot plan. So definitely right now we are in a shock, and we have got nothing to say, nothing to present, because it has taken out whatever that we were planning as a sector. We are focused to do this accident. We are thinking about it.
This accident brings to the fore the issue of passenger insurance. How far are we in that regard?
Definitely, let me make it very clear to the nation. There is a statutory requirement which allows which mandates every vehicle to have passenger insurance, which is actually managed through Insurance Council of Zimbabwe. I can confirm to the nation that we work together and our vehicles are in their database. When we register our vehicles, we also issue these through our office, the passenger insurance, which is there for our people. We did not only advocated for the passenger insurance for our operators only, but we also extended to through the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe that we need a toll-free number, which is 591. If you actually look around our vehicles, you can see that public service vehicles, combis, they've got the 591 toll-free number to make sure that when there is a disaster, ambulances are being called through that toll-free number, which is not paid for. So definitely the issue of passenger insurance is actually covered on our side. But there is a problem with vehicles which actually operate from undesignated points, the mshika-shikas, those which do not comply. Definitely those ones, they actually don't have passenger insurance, most of them. And the pirate taxis, which are not allowed, they don't have the passenger insurance. And this is at the expense of the innocent public.
Now, Frederick, how are you as transporters moving forward after this tragic incident?
After this tragedy, how we are moving forward, definitely tomorrow we have got an indaba, thanks to the Ministry of Transport, which always actually avail these platforms for us. To us as organizations, we held a meeting at 2 o'clock. We were even at the PS office, Ministry for Devolution, where we were discussing about how we can bring sanity to ourselves. We are 4,000 compliant operators against 12,000 which are not compliant, and we discussed along these issues where we as associations, we must make sure that we get registered to make sure that we actually safeguard the safety of our people, the safety of passengers. So definitely it's a topical issue. What are we going to do with our drivers? What are we going to do with regards to collaboration with truck drivers? Remember, the truck drivers are also under the family of the PSV vehicle or PSV transport service providers.
Oh, Frederick, thank you so much for joining us and for sparing your thoughts for the families that have been affected in this very tragic time. That was Frederick Maguraminga, chairperson of SUDEC, joining us live to just discuss and talk about this tragic incident. Now, farmers from Summer Bay plots in Zimbabwe East, a few kilometers from Harare, are seeking parliamentary portfolio intervention to stop their eviction from the land that they have occupied since the year 2001 by a local company, Sensen Investments. Representatives of the 19 farmers appeared before Parliament's Land and Agriculture Portfolio Committee to plead for their case. Our reporter, Sharon Munjanjema, has the details.
Emotions ran high in Parliament today as plot farmers from Summerby Farm tearfully recounted their plight. After calling the land home for 14 years, these farmers are facing the threat of losing everything they have worked for. With hearts heavy with desperation, they turned to Parliament, seeking refuge and justice, hoping to retain the land. On January 30, Summerby plot farmers were shocked to find strangers placing pegs on their land. This sparked an altercation that led to a police case. During the police investigation, the farmers were stunned to learn that Sensen Investments Private Limited, the rival claimant of the land, possessed title deeds. But the title deeds were dated December 2024.
Ma-offer letters edu taburitsa ma-offer letters edu vakabvunzwazve ivo vatovekwa chiyangwa iva kuti ko imimi mune chii chinotiratidzwa kuti imimi nzvimbo indeyenyu vakaburitsa ma-title deeds.
The farmers say they have held offer letters granted in 2007 and were in the process of acquiring title deeds through the Presidential Title Deed Scheme. This is a government initiative aimed at formalizing land ownership. But they were facing significant delays, leaving some of the victims who are war veterans frustrated and unhappy.
Vokombanzeta famu yedu isusu yemaovetinemi gereki ko inga vakuru vanawo mafama maestate sei vasingavapi isika 20% kedu tuma 2018 tukavakutotorera takura isachada kudzokera kuhondo.
Legislators listened to the plight and pledged to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter.
Inoratidza kuti makapuwa enda munaimo communication yamakazowana futi yokuti matorerwa. Chamuri kuita muri kuona vanhu vari kungouyavo vachiti pava pedu. Makaona iyo kambani iyo yakauya ichiti tava namatitle deeds vachiti nzvimbo yedu ina matitle deeds. Ndokuda kuchitsvakwa kuti ava vakawana matitle deeds eminda yenyu.
As the investigation unfolds, the Summerby farmers can only wait and hope that justice will be served in their favor. Sharon Munjanjema for SATN News at Parliament.
Or you are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly after this.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, the International Mission and Crusade Director for popular televangelist Benny Hinn, Dr. Mary Dawn, has arrived in the country to mark a major milestone in the build-up to the Benny Hinn Healing Crusade that is scheduled for the 10th to the 12th of October in Harare. Dr. Dawn is expected to lead key meetings and coordinate logistics for what promises to be one of the most impactful crusades to be hosted in the country. Speaking after her arrival, Dr. Dawn described Zimbabwe as an amazing country with amazing people, with peace as well as loving people. The forthcoming crusade will be hosted by Heartfelt International Ministries.
And we have even more expectation now for Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is an amazing nation with great people, and we're just looking forward to come here and be a blessing to the nation. And let it be a time of refreshment, of change, of time changing event for the nation. We believe for the best for this nation. So the message for Pastor Benny Hinn is that he's very excited, he's exhilarated about coming to Zimbabwe. He feels that this is going to be a very important time for him. And we are all praying, not only he, but the whole ministry, we are all praying for this nation and for what God is preparing for this nation.
Now let's take a look at news from around the world. We started off in Mozambique, where the former presidential candidate and opposition leader, Venancio Motlane, returned to Maputo on Monday after a month-long visit to Europe amid ongoing legal challenges and heightened political tensions in Mozambique. Motlane is expected to appear before the Mozambican Public Prosecutor's Office, PGR, on Tuesday for questioning over allegations of inciting violence during post-election protests that civil society groups say left around 400 people dead. During his European tour, Motlane visited Portugal and Germany, meeting Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa and Germany's Die Linke Party delegates to discuss Mozambique's human rights issues, despite being excluded from official political dialogue.
A minha ida à Europa esteve desde a extrema-esquerda até a extrema-direita. Foi por isso que eu disse, eu ia a Portugal, fui à Europa, também para trazer um novo debate político, um novo debate de conceitos de política. Muito interessante, era bom que aqui em Moçambique a gente fizesse uma palestra, um simpósio sobre isso. Estamos a dar lições à Europa, estão a perceber? Acho que isto devia orgulhar a qualquer africano e qualquer moçambicano.
In Sudan, university students in the war-ravaged country resumed classes on Sunday following a 2-year suspension due to the ongoing fighting. Ahead of the reopening, the university administration implemented precautionary measures, including security checks, to ensure no weapons or explosives were present. Technical teams were also deployed to clear rubble and debris from the premises. Nilani University was hosting entrance exams at its Khartoum campus for the first time in 2 years, with 987 students sitting for the tests. In June, Sudan's military-appointed Prime Minister Kamel Idris issued a decree ordering the reopening of university in Khartoum and instructing authorities to assess the damage inflicted on academic institutions.
الليلة أول يوم امتحان الرياضات الإدارية وبحمد الله والشكر له إنه الجامعات فتحت في الخرطوم وقدرنا نواصل الامتحانات من داخل الجامعة ونشكر ربنا على إنه النعمة دي لأنه كنا بنعاني وبنمتحن في الولايات الأخرى وطبعا الحرب أثرت في كل القطاعات وفي كل سلم التعليم.
In Egypt, Cairo has voiced strong opposition to Israel's plan to establish the so-called humanitarian city on the ruins of Rafah in southern Gaza, warning it would trigger a mass exodus towards Egypt's border and further destabilize the region. In a phone call last week with the U.S. Middle East envoy Stephen Witkoff, Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati firmly rejected the proposal. Israel reportedly plans to put up a gated camp, dubbed the humanitarian city, to host an initial 600,000 Palestinians displaced from northern Gaza. Once inside, the Gazans will be prohibited from returning to their homes indefinitely, according to the Israeli proposal.
الموقف العربي موحد وموقف مصر ثابت من بداية القضية الفلسطينية من بدايتها حتى الآن، واحنا رأينا ثابت ورأي الشعب المصري ثابت والقيادة السياسية في مصر ثابتة انها لا تهجير ولا اللعب على القضية الفلسطينية ولا إخلاء الأرض ولا التهجير بأي شكل من الأشكال.
الأرض دي تبع فلسطين، فاللي هو ما ينفعش إن حد يجي يتحكم في أرض حد كده بمزاجه، فاهم قصدي؟ اللي هو لا، هي دي طالما الأرض دي اسمها كده في فلسطين من بدري ومن زمان جدا، يعني هي اسمها فلسطين، فهي دي أرضهم، ما ينفعش إن حد يجي يستولي عليها مرة واحدة ويستغل فرصة إن هم ما عندهمش بقى جيش وما عندهمش شرطة ولا حاجة.
In Pakistan, the monsoon season is threatening farmers' livelihoods and putting the nation's food security supply at risk as early rice crops became submerged amid flooding. Punjab is known as the breadbasket of Pakistan, producing over 60% of the country's total agricultural output. But heavy rains and floods in the province's Sheikhupura region have turned vast farmlands into lakes. Farmers' livelihoods have been devastated, and experts warn this could deal a major blow to Pakistan's food security.
I paid hundreds of thousands of rupees in advance. After the flood, our fields have died. It will take more than a month for the water to dry. After that, the season will end. This was our only source of income.
In China, the permanent representative to the United Nations, Fu Kong, has warned against unilateral protectionist measures. Speaking during the general debate at the 2025 UN High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development on Monday, Fu said that such measures, including tariff impositions, are undermining progress toward the Sustainable Development Goals. He also highlighted serious delays in implementing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, with widening financing gaps and growing unilateralism threatening multilateral cooperation. He called on the international community to uphold multilateralism, strengthen solidarity, improve global economic governance, and revitalize momentum for achieving the 2030 Agenda.
The group is deeply concerned about the increasing unilateral protectionist measures, including the imposition of tariffs, which are undermining the achievements of SDGs. The international community must recommit to the rule-based multilateral trading system and eliminate these measures. We iterate as well our call to remove all unilateral coercive measures that impede the full achievement of economic and social development, particularly in developing countries.
And now in Iceland, access to Iceland's volcanic eruption zone near Grindavik reopened to tourists on Monday, allowing them to witness the dramatic spectacle from a safe distance. This latest eruption, the 12th in the region since 2021, began on Monday, accompanied by over 130 small earthquakes that were recorded in the Swatsenge region overnight. Authorities promptly evacuated more than 100 people, including guests at the Blue Lagoon Geothermal Resort and visitors that were camping nearby. Roads into the affected area were temporarily closed as a safety precaution. The Icelandic Meteorological Office reports that the volcanic fissure, stretching up to 1,000 meters in length, has opened near Grindavik, damaging barriers that are designed to protect the town. And now we take a look at some business news.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DSTV Compact and get the best football on us.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Ipapo by ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now we take a look at some business news. Zimbabwe's insurance industry is now operating under a new regulatory framework following major amendments that were gazetted on the 23rd of June through Statutory Instrument 67 of 2025. Now, the changes introduce US dollar denominated capital requirements, replacing the previous local currency thresholds. Life insurers must now hold $2 million, funeral insurers $500,000, non-life insurers $1.5 million, while reinsurers must meet $2 million. A new micro insurance category has also been introduced at $100,000. Now, insurance brokers are now required to hold $100,000 in capital alongside enhanced professional indemnity cover of at least $200,000 or 50% of prior year brokerage income. The reforms are part of efforts to stabilize the sector and align it with international best practice. Now, joining us live is economist Malon Kwadu for more on this and what it really means for the industry. Malon, good evening to you. What is the significance of this development?
I think it's necessary in the sense that it enhances insurance sector stability and its ability to meet its underwritten obligations in case of them materializing. The necessity of the insurance companies being required to have balance sheets and capital positions in US dollars speaks to its ability to buttress and be able to meet risks as and when they materialize. And we went through this process again with the banking sector. It was called upon to have US dollar capitalized positions. So in the same sense for the insurance sector, as it plays more or less the same role as banks in the financial intermediation process.
Now, Malon, Zimbabwe is pushing towards a monocurrency regime by 2030. What does this mean for insurers?
Look, the US dollar is a hard currency, and if you are to boil down to a mono currency, it will probably be indexed against the US dollar, which speaks to a more hard asset that is able to meet the risk that in the market, and also act as an assurance mechanism for the ability of the insurance sector to meet its obligations and its return premiums as and when they materialize.
Marlon, thank you so much for breaking that down for us and just making it quite simpler for us to understand. Marlon Guadu, an economist right there. Now, Buy Zimbabwe is calling on government to fine-tune regulatory frameworks, particularly around duties, licensing, funding and power supply, to boost production and ensure Zimbabwean products dominate both local shelves and consumer preference. Appearing on the Mint, Buy Zimbabwe General Manager Alois Boruta said government should amplify efforts to support the local industry.
One of the biggest challenges we've already spoken about, which is the low capacity utilization that they're facing, right? And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, if government increases procurement locally, that will then address that challenge. But number two, our regulatory costs of doing business, they're very high. I mean, we last week on Wednesday, I attended the National Competitiveness Report. They were launching the Competitiveness Report for 2024, and the issue of regulatory costs came out that they estimate that up to about 34% of profits of business profits are taken up by regulatory costs. From your profit, 34% goes to regulatory costs. That is huge. And Zimbabweans are faced with up to as much as 51 different types of taxes and permits and so forth, and licenses that they are faced with, and that is not sustainable.
Buy Zimbabwe, a private sector-led initiative, believes Zimbabwean goods can hold their own, but only if retailers, wholesalers and citizens deliberately support homegrown brands.
The National Competitiveness Commission put forward a matrix to show that Zimbabwe's electricity is the highest in the region. Our electricity cost. Only this morning I was hearing on the news that in South Africa, the Minister of Energy and Electricity is actually saying to Eskom, please reduce your energy cost further. They actually want to reduce it even further.
And yet in Zimbabwe, there is conversation around increasing
there you go.
that very cost.
You see what I mean? So in the region, other countries are actually directing their energy suppliers to reduce their cost, right? And we implore government, working with other business member organizations. Like for us as Buy Zimbabwe, we work very closely with the CZI, Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, to come up with means and ways to then say, look, let's ensure that our Zimbabwean companies meet certain minimum quality standards. That is why we also work together with SARS, Standard Association of Zimbabwe.
Still in business, Premier African Minerals has achieved a major breakthrough at its Zulu Lithium and Tantalum project near Fort Rickson in Matabeleland South, with flotation test runs yielding a concentrate grade above 5%. Now, this milestone represents a key advancement in the company's pursuit of reliable commercial lithium production. This development comes shortly after the restart of operations on the 6th of July 2025, following the successful installation of critical cleaner cell inserts to the flotation circuit. The previous setup had faced serious technical hurdles, particularly with concentrate retention that hampered overall output. And now we give you some sporting action.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J.
Put your seatbelt on.
Where music transcends boundaries, where rhythm and melody unite the hearts of people, comes a show that celebrates the power of music like never before. Get ready to dive into a sonic journey that will leave you mesmerized and yearning for more. Welcome to the captivating world of Z-Vibes. Vibe to it, baby.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now, the Zimbabwe senior men's rugby team were welcomed to a hero's welcome at the Robert Mugabe International Airport days after conquering Africa. Sables head coach Pete Bernard is delighted to have given the nation something to smile about.
No, it's crazy being able to come to this place and see so many happy people. We work hand in hand with our fans, you know, so we appreciate them so much, and we're very blessed that we can provide the happiness and the pride to our people. So we take that seriously, and it's an honor. No, well, like I think all coaches believe in themselves, you know, up to a point. There was never a doubt that we were good enough to achieve something special. So, you know, you aim for the stars, and like it's a bit crazy that we've achieved it. Yeah, it doesn't feel real yet, but getting here, we start starting to see and feel. Yeah, I think when we got to Uganda, we were comfortable. We stayed in the same hotel. We played at the same place. So we kept telling ourselves, you know, this is our home ground. For people to beat us there, they need to be special. But we needed to be special, and luckily we were just good enough. I don't think we played our best, but we were good enough on 3 occasions, and that's all we needed.
Bernard is impressed by the changes that have happened since his appointment back in March 2024.
Yeah, I think there will be an adaptation period, I'm sure. Going into the Tier 2 teams will be a challenge, and then I think the biggest blessing will be starting to play the Tier 1 teams. And, just having Zimbabwe on the same field is a victory. Let me say that, and then for us to start competing will take a lot of effort and planning, and believe again, you know. So those are things that have seemed to us, that we have to continue working on.
Now, RoboCup 2025, the World Cup of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence, began on Thursday in Salvador, Brazil. The event promotes the development of robots capable of operating in various scenarios, including football matches, rescue operations, and service robotics. The football element aims to develop a team that could beat the human FIFA World Cup champions by 2050. The robots can react, plan, and act in real time without remote control, interacting with each other throughout the game. Autonomous robots will compete across 5 leagues, featuring both humanoid designs and wheel-based models.
A gente está participando da SSL, que é a Small Size League. São robôs autônomos, onde a gente joga 11 contra 11 e a gente programa os robôs para jogarem sozinho. Então a gente não controla, não nada. A gente está fazendo ali o background de construir os robôs e controlar. O jogo é bem dinâmico, porque são 11 contra 11, são robôs muito rápidos que conseguem chutar por cima, né? Então é um jogo bem dinâmico.
That's all we had for you on Newsplus this Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We leave you watching the weather forecast. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.